Hi, I'm Christine Larson, and I will be doing my educational giant report on Elliot Eisner. Elliot Wayne Eisner was born on March 10, 1933, to Eastern European immigrants. He decided in his childhood that he wanted to be an artist. He earned both a bachelor's and master's degree in art education. He married, and he and his wife Ellie had a son and daughter. After teaching high school art for 2 years, he returned to graduate school at the University of Chicago and earned a master's and doctorate in education. In 1965, he began teaching at Stanford and taught for 42 years. He also received 6 honorary doctorates. He died just 2 years ago on January 10th. Eisner was involved in the Kettering Project, and this began in the late 1960s, and it provided curriculum supplies for new elementary school teachers. Another major contribution is Eisner's emphasis on discipline-based art education, which advocated the creation of art, art criticism, art history, and aesthetic inquiry. Eisner makes some very valid points on the NAEA's 10 Lessons the Arts Teach poster. Eisner points out that, and I quote, "The art makes vivid the fact that neither words in their literal form nor numbers exhaust what we can know. The limits of our language do not define the limits of our cognition. The arts teach children that problems can have more than one solution and that questions can have more than one answer. The arts teach children to make good judgments about qualitative relationships. Unlike much of the curriculum, in which correct answers and rules prevail, in the arts it is judgment rather than rules that prevail." And these are only 3 of Eisner's 10 very good arguments for the arts. Eisner wanted children to be individuals, and he believed art allowed them to express themselves through their creativity. He didn't like how schools were trying to get teaching down to a science, and that they had a set curriculum that defined what every child should know and be able to do when they left a certain grade. A huge part of Eisner's philosophy was the idea that the arts help develop the mind and help children become better critical thinkers. Something I found really interesting is that he didn't care if the arts helped students get better grades in other subjects. He wanted art programs in schools for the sake of art. Some of his ideas were influenced by Sir Herbert Reed, an English art historian. In reference to Sir Herbert, Eisner said, "By the term artist, neither he nor I mean necessarily painters and dancers, poets and playwrights. We mean individuals who have developed the ideas, the sensibilities, the skills, and the imagination to create work that is well proportioned, skillfully executed, and imaginative, regardless of the domain in which an individual works. The highest accolade we can confer upon someone is to say that he or she is an artist, whether as a carpenter or a surgeon, a cook, or an engineer. I further want to argue that the distinctive forms of thinking needed to create artistically crafted work are relevant not only to what students do, they are relevant to virtually all aspects of what we do. In a word, the forms of thinking the arts stimulate and develop are far more appropriate for the real world we live in than the tidy right-angled boxes we employ in our schools in the name of school improvement." While there are art and music programs in most schools, I don't think they're yet at the level that Eisner envisioned. Many times even the art and music programs don't have enough funding. Also, schools are still striving to get the highest test scores possible and refine and define curriculum even more. I do feel like schools are beginning to offer more options as far as electives go, which allow students to be more individuals. Discipline-based art education, I feel, is more prevalent in schools, especially at the college and university level. DBAE is different than regular art programs. It goes deeper and it goes past just students creating art, and it has students really appreciate and see and understand the art. The 4 disciplines it emphasizes, which are create art, appreciate it, understand it, and make judgments about it, can be applied to music, poetry, literature, and dance as well. As far as Eisner's impact on me, his philosophy has really influenced me because I did orchestra starting in middle school and then going up through my high school years, and orchestra for me provided a break from the normal routine of school, And as Eisner expressed in one of his points, there are more ways to express things than just in words and numbers, and I found that as I have been involved in music. I really liked how he talked about the way of thinking, about the arts as a way of thinking that should be applied to all other aspects of our lives because it is a higher, more critical way of thinking. I agree with him also that we are all individuals. We cannot set standards of what every child of every certain grade should know. Rather than trying to become unified, I think that schools should emphasize and encourage individualism, and an effective way to do that, as Eisner says, is through the arts. I just want to end with a quote that I really think sums up well Eisner's philosophy. It's, "To neglect the contribution of the arts in education, either through inadequate time, resources, or poorly trained teachers, is to deny children access to one of the most stunning aspects of their culture and one of the most potent means for developing their minds." I learned a lot from Eisner's philosophy of why art should be in schools, and I hope you did too. Thanks for listening.